All right, welcome everybody. I'm being told on Twitch that there's a celebrity that has a crush on me. That's that may be the most interesting breaking news related to the David Pakman show, I would argue, in history, to be perfectly frank. But we'll get to that a little bit later, because we are here with finally, for those of us who are waiting, and I don't know that everybody was waiting, we are going to be seeing a public appearance from President Donald Trump for the first time since the riotous insurrection that he incited. Although we did hear from him just a few statements as he was heading out of the White House, and I'm going to play that video for you momentarily, but we're standing by for Donald Trump in Texas for statements about the border wall. Now, I don't want to sort of give up the speech ahead of time, but my guess is Trump will claim that he kept his promise on the wall and that Mexico paid for it. Neither of those things are true. Trump's promise was a wall across the entire border. Now, thankfully, he failed to do that, but he did fail. And Mexico didn't pay for anything. We paid for it as taxpayers. Okay. So that is, that's the reality. Okay. What do we have? There's just so much. I don't even know where to start because there's so much going on. We are sort of building towards the end of this administration, which will be happening at noon in 8 days, a week from tomorrow, and we will be covering the Biden inauguration live. I don't have any particularly special plans for the Biden inauguration other than just to cover it. And now, unfortunately, I hope this isn't the case, but there's a good chance we will be covering violence as well. And I think you all know that the FBI has put out a statement saying they're expecting violent mobs in all 50 states and DC. So it's not like I'm encouraging anybody that they've been talking about this on Parler and elsewhere for a while. I'm very worried that we are going to see significant violence but as soon as this weekend, really, and leading all the way up to Inauguration Day. Okay. A few super chats coming in that are interesting. What's your take on the idea of, instead of impeachment, implementing the 14th Amendment to bar Trump from public office? Well, they can do that as part of impeachment with a simple majority vote. Okay. Chakaseki says Trump administration's human sedition pede has now morphed into a human pardon pede as they slowly crawl while attached at the face to his rump. Wow. Also, Trumpty Dumpty sat on his wall. Trumpty Dumpty had a great fall into ignominious defeat, sedition, treason, legal catastrophe, and erection fraud. Wow. That's very aggressive. That's extremely aggressive. But I appreciate it. Okay, let's get to Trump's statements so we have statements he made heading out to Texas and then upon landing. Let's just take it from the top. We are standing by for Trump at the border wall, but here was what Trump said on his way down.
So we're going to Texas. We're going to the southern border. As you know, we've completed the wall. They may want to expand it.
Okay. So they've not completed the wall. Now, when Trump says we've completed it, but they might want to expand it, the promise was a wall across the whole border. If that's complete, how do you expand it? Into the water? I don't know. It's weird.
The expansion underway. It's been tremendously successful, far beyond what anyone thought. We're stopping in large numbers the drugs coming into the country for many, many years and decades. We're stopping a lot of illegal immigration. Our numbers have been very good. There does seem to be a surge now because people are coming up. Some caravans are starting to form.
The caravans are starting again, my friends.
They think there's going to be a lot in it for them if they're able to get through, but we're able to stop it. The wall has made a tremendous difference. I think some of you are coming with me, but the wall has made a tremendous difference on the southern border. As far as this is concerned, we want no violence, never violence.
Well, too late for that. You may have, you did incite that riot.
We want absolutely no violence. And on the impeachment, it's really a continuation of the greatest witch hunt in the history of politics. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. This impeachment is causing tremendous anger.
Right. Ignore why there is even a discussion of impeachment. Ignore that. Just the fact that there might be an impeachment is causing anger. What's a good, I want you guys to help me workshop some analogies for Trump now saying no violence is like, so here's the gist of the analogy. I want you to help me workshop it. The arsonist who says after the house burned down, I'm getting rid of all of my matches. That's the type of analogy. What ideas do people have that I may be able to integrate? Closing the barn door after the cows left. That's not bad. That's not bad. What other ideas do we have as far as the analogy to that? Cookie Monster saying no to cookies. No, that doesn't make any sense. Aborting a 2-month-old baby. Okay, that's not quite. Taking the bullets out of a gun after you shot someone, turning the gun in after you've already used it to kill someone. That's not bad. That's not bad. I saw online putting your seatbelt on after you've already arrived at the destination. All right. Well, I'm not seeing too many excellent ones, but let's keep workshopping it. Let's continue.
And you're doing it, and it's really a terrible thing that they're doing. For Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer to continue on this path, I think it's causing tremendous danger to our country.
You know, I could have sworn that the dangerous thing was not a constitutionally mandated procedure to hold a president accountable. I thought the dangerous thing was the violent insurrection. That's where I see the danger.
And it's causing tremendous anger. I want no violence. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so then upon landing, we heard from him again.
I think that big tech is doing a horrible thing for our country and to our country.
This audio is atrocious.
And I believe it's going to be a catastrophic mistake for them.
Can anybody hear that? I can't hear a word of what he's saying.
They're
there we go.
dividing and divisive, and they're showing something that I've been predicting for a long time.
Oh, he's talking about big tech.
I've been predicting it for a long time, and people didn't act on it. But I think big tech has made a terrible mistake and very, very bad for our country. And that's leading others to do the same thing. And it causes a lot of problems and a lot of danger. Big mistake. They shouldn't be doing it. But there's always a counter move when they do that. I've never seen.
That's another allusion to some. I mean, listen, I'm not saying that that's an allusion to violence, but again, it's another allusion to signaling his crowd to do something.
It's anger, as I see right now, and that's a terrible thing. Terrible thing. And you have to always
very anti-free market. Very, very anti-free market.
Avoid violence, and we have tremendous support. We have support probably like nobody's ever seen before.
He's still using that line.
Always have to avoid violence.
And that was a glitch. Did you guys notice that? He had that glitch there. We've seen those before where he kind of glitches on a particular word and shakes up.
We have support probably like nobody's ever seen before. Always have to avoid violence.
There it is.
So if you read my speech, and many people have done it, and I've seen it both in the
perfect speech
and in the media, on television, it's been analyzed, and people thought that what I said was totally appropriate. And if you look at what other people have said, politicians at a high level, about the riots during the summer, the horrible riots in Portland, Seattle, and various other places. That was a real problem.
Right. Yeah. The breaking into the Capitol, it had nothing to do with him, and it wasn't a problem, and it was Antifa. The stuff in Seattle, though, that's really, really crazy stuff. So there's Trump's statement upon landing in Texas, and we're standing by for him right now. We are expecting to hear from him any moment in about 15 minutes. All right. So glad that you were with us. Let me say thank you to the 6 folks who just grabbed Twitch subscriptions. I really do appreciate that you're doing that. And I also want to say thanks to a few people who grabbed subscriptions on my website. Daniel Dorn just signed up at joinpacman.com, and Aaron Isaacson as well. New members number 7 and 8 today. Very much appreciate that. Albix Ruroni says it's like trying to put sunglasses on after you've stared at the solar eclipse. Exactly. I like that. I like that very, very much. Okay, so we've gotten that out of the way. A couple of other things that I wanted to go over. I have two new voicemails. So when Democrats took Georgia and Republicans tried to take the Capitol building via violent insurrection, I stopped hearing from all of our regular Trumpist callers. I didn't hear from Repeater. I didn't hear from Prickless Guy. I didn't hear from Troy York under his real or fake names. Troy York now is very much back. He called in under his fake name Ramon Ramos, which is his fake Hispanic character. And he also called in with a new character named Dimitri Diamond. I don't know if Dimitri Diamond is supposed to be a Russian. Dimitri, I don't know. Do you guys want to hear the Dimitri Diamond Troy York call first or the Ramon Ramos? And by the way, I know that that's not, in Spanish, the last name is Ramos, right? I understand that, but it's Ramon Ramos is how he pronounces it. Dimitri Diamond first. Okay, let's take, this is Troy York as Dimitri Diamond. Here we go.
Hey, hello, David. This is Dimitri Diamond. Just calling. I really enjoy your show. I think you got one of the best internet alternative.
Oh, so Dimitri Diamond is a character that likes the show.
News programs out there. I highly recommend it to many people. However, I think that you should have more of an open mind about the possibility of election fraud. And it's
well, I did. I had an open mind to the evidence, and the evidence took me to it doesn't exist.
Not be too surprising, especially given that most countries that have elections are fraudulently tampered with and interfered and not very honest.
They're not honest.
I believe that basically you have a ruling elite around the world who controls elections, and if they don't want somebody, they will guarantee that the person loses, set up a coup, as kind of like in Egypt with Mohammed Morsi, how he was elected, yet the U.S. and your EU sponsored a coup.
Okay, so anyway, that's that. That's Dimitri Diamond. Here is Ramon Ramos. This is all the same guy. This was like a couple hours later. Wow, 5 a.m. So that first call I played for you was 1 a.m. So this guy, it seems like this guy's up all night because he left the Dimitri Diamond voicemail at 1 a.m. And then this one now is 5 a.m.
Hey, baby, this is Ramon Ramos. I'm calling about your video about the, you had a phone caller. He's from, not even American. He from Australia. And he's wondering why Australian call you program and so concerned with American politics, but I digress. Let me ask you this, if Washington, D.C. becomes a state, why not Oklahoma City? And so it could be a red state.
What sense does that make?
This is complete nonsense. In Washington, D.C., you talk about you want to become a state for 2 more Senate seats for Democrat Party. Well, they make Tulsa, then Tulsa can become a state, similar population.
Tulsa already has representation. This is a very, very silly argument.
This makes no sense. You stupid. Washington, D.C.
I'm stupid.
D.C. can be utterly made, incorporate to Baltimore, to Maryland. And Maryland is already a Democrat state.
Well, Maryland's already Democrat. Maryland's already a state.
No reason for a 51st state. Puerto Rico, much like Cuba, most Puerto Ricans, which I am, are more traditional than the ones in Puerto Rico. The liberal Puerto Ricans mostly migrate to U.S., other Latin American countries. They want the urban, hedonistic lifestyle. They're already in America. They already vote. You have Puerto Rico as a state. There's no guarantee they be Democrat unless they rig the election.
Okay.
So you stupid. You know nothing about the Puerto Rico, not guaranteed to be Democrat.
It's weird because I actually said during the call he's referring to where people were asking about DC and Puerto Rico, I said Puerto Rico has a larger conservative element than many people might imagine. And it's not a guarantee that if you make Puerto Rico a state, that it's completely democratic in its representation.
Puerto Rico, not Los Angeles. You very stupid Argentine. You're not even Puerto Rican.
Well, yeah, I never claimed to be Puerto Rican. I'm Argentinian. That's true.
You're not even Hispanic.
Well, that's a different question. And it just glitched. All right. Anyway, that's, I guess, as far as we're going to be able to go with that because the entire voicemail system just glitched. Okay. So, I mean, I guess it's true that I am not Puerto Rican. That I think we can say with certitude was an accurate, that was an accurate comment for sure. A Kinky Turtle says, isn't making fun of this guy ableism? Oh boy, we can't even delve into that right now. Jennifer says 3:00 press conference with FBI DOJ about the Capitol attack. Okay, that I am very interested in. Do you know if any YouTube channel is covering it? I'm glad to go to that after the Trump thing because the Trump thing may not be very long. Let me see. FBI Capitol attack press conference. Yeah, I'm not seeing any live stream right now, but I would be interested in covering that if anybody can tell me who's streaming it live. But we'll get back to that, okay? I have a couple of other clips to play for you. I do want to say thanks to the 9 additional Twitch subscribers who just did sign up via Twitch, and also a big thank you to Peter Brennan, who just signed up at joinpacman.com and is new member number 18 today. Warning, coupon code is now better21. The discount is so big, I don't even publish it. We just say massive discount. That's on advice of counsel. We hired celebrity lawyer Mark Garagos, and he said these discounts are so explosive, I wouldn't even publish the amount. Just say it's a big discount. And that's where we're going right now. PBS NewsHour is covering it. Okay, let's see. PBS NewsHour live. House to debate. House Rules Committee. Man, I'm not finding the exact right stream is the only issue. House Rules Committee. Oh, here it is. Perfect. Okay, good. So after Trump speaks, and we expect Trump's statement to be very short, we will go to this update on the Capitol attack. Now, they should really spell it Capitol with an O, but that's okay. I know that a lot's going on right now. So we'll stand by for that. I think that'll be very, very important. I read that a second impeachment would strip 45 of Secret Service detail and other financial benefits. Not by default. So you need 60 votes in the Senate to convict on impeachment, but with a simple majority, you can strip Trump of his $1 million a year travel budget and prevent him from being able to run again. That's absolutely true. Yep. Okay. A couple of other things I wanted to mention. Do I think we'll see more one-term presidents in the near future? Maybe. You know, it's hard to say at this point in time. They can't imagine someone could want democracy for democracy's sake and not simply to benefit their political party. Yeah, it's sad. Are we sure Ramon Ramos is not really Alec Baldwin's wife faking a male Latino accent? Yeah, you know, I didn't really follow that story very much about Hilaria Baldwin. But I heard on the Howard Stern show yesterday that I guess she's admitted to faking a Spanish accent. You know, at one point I thought that Alec Baldwin's wife was Argentinian, and then I found out she's like from Boston or something. And then I realized, no, Matt Damon's wife is Argentinian. I believe Bobby Duvall's wife is Argentinian. And hold on, who else is what other actors' wives are Argentinian? There's a few. Yeah, I know that the Wolf of Wall Street, who I know, is dating an Argentinian woman. That I know. Baldwin, yeah, Matt Damon. Yeah, Maradona, obviously. That's not an American actor, though. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Yeah. That was a mistake on my end. That was a mistake. That was a mistake. Have I talked about the gender rules the House plans to adopt? They seem bizarre to me. No, I've not heard of that. That's not something I've heard of. BMA Stellar via Twitch sub says, couldn't Trump be charged for 14th Amendment violations after January 20th? As I believe that's the case. Yes, Anya Taylor-Joy from Queen's Gambit is Argentinian. That's absolutely true. Braylon's dad says, irony, if the GOP had won the popular vote, that would be their entire argument right now. Of course it would. Of course it would. Rocco Thompson says, didn't think I could love you more, and now I discover you're a Stern fan. The perfect man does exist. Yeah, I've been listening to Howard Stern for, let's see, I think 22 years or something like that. And I admit the last few months I've been listening very little because it's just been so busy with everything that's been going on. Okay. You need a 67 vote majority to convict in the Senate. I apologize. That was it. Yes. You need a 67 vote majority for impeachment in the Senate. You only need a simple majority to strip Trump of the ability to run again in the future. That's my mistake. I apologize for that. Big thank you to the 14 additional Twitch subscribers who just signed up, putting us at 32. I see people asking what's the most Twitch subs we've ever had. It's right around 2,500, and it was last month. Right around 2,500 in last month. A few other members to thank on my website. Oh, wow. There are just massive dumps of memberships happening. Mark Clark just signed up at joinpacman.com. Devin Brody, Thomas Murphy, Rhiannon Cahill, Charles Trimble, and Pedro Hernandez. I don't know if that's Pedro from Colombia, but it might be. Weston Switzer and Casey Weaver have signed up. That's 8. Diane Hemphill and Steve Bowker puts us at 10. Diane Bishop and Julie Finney is 12. And then, of course, Turtle Mitchison and Dog Dylan are 14, putting us at 46. Very, very much right on the nose. Okay. Let's see. So we are standing by for two things. We are expecting to hear from Donald Trump at the U.S. border momentarily. I anticipate he will lie that the border wall is done, and I anticipate he will lie that Mexico paid for it. We also then are standing by for a briefing from the FBI and acting U.S. Attorney Michael Sherwin on the riotous, violent insurrection that took place on January 6th. So we're standing by for two different things right now. My guess is, even though they're both scheduled for the same time, that Trump will be very late and we will hear from the FBI first. That's my guess at this point in time. Rick Hunter says, who's the greatest Argentinian soccer player? Is it Messi? This is the tough thing about talking about that. This is sort of like when people say, is Michael Jordan better than LeBron James? First of all, there's no way. There's a generational thing where people who saw Jordan in his prime, like me, probably all else being equal, would lean towards Jordan. There's another issue, which is that the physicality of the game has changed. And what we know now about building the ideal physique for different sports has changed dramatically. And so there's a real chance that LeBron in his prime maybe could beat Jordan in his prime. But the point is that the NBA has become different physically. Players tend to carry more muscle and so on and so on. So the point is, I think it's very difficult when you're talking about players of different generations to really make these comparisons. Okay. And much the same way, the way soccer players train at this point is different. So I don't know. I think it's not clear, but I would certainly say that Messi and Maradona are both at the absolute top at their respective times, the number one players for sure. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's not be, let's not get crazy. Okay. We are now going to see. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Okay, so Trump's at the border wall. I guess they're pointing out different elements of the wall to him. Yep, that's the wall, sir. They told me, sir, Mexico is on the other side. And I said, we've got to have a country. If we don't have a border, we don't have a country. And then they said, sir, is that your real hair? And I said, of course it is. Okay, so standing by here for Donald Trump. Very, very important. Mr. Chris says, can't disqualify Trump from holding future office unless he's convicted first by a 2/3 majority. The 2D disqualification vote is by simple majority. 2D qualification vote. Okay. I think I should better inform myself about some of these details. I think that would be useful. Bean Product says, watching on the YouTube feed, wanted to give you my free sub since Destiny is no longer partnered. I'm not partnered either. I'm a Twitch affiliate. Just a lowly Twitch affiliate. And that's the reality. All right, so we're going to hear from Trump soon. What are the odds of marijuana legalization? I'm guessing you mean under Joe Biden. Very, very low. Joe Biden hasn't even talked about legalization. He's talked about decrim, also known as decriminalization. So let's try to hold Joe Biden accountable to the things he promised rather than the things he didn't. But I do think that if we see decriminalization happen at the national level, we will see many more states legalize recreationally. There's no doubt at all. No doubt at all. People asking me for what is the best Argentinian cuisine dish? We don't have 10 hours, guys. So unfortunately, I won't be able to deal with that. But, and you know, the other issue is that a lot of Argentinian dishes have origins elsewhere. Like, for example, milanesa is one of my favorite Argentinian dishes, but the term Milan is literally in the name. So is that really Argentinian? Trump now seems to be signing the wall. Yep, he's signing. Can you imagine anything more sycophantic and ridiculous? Trump is signing the wall with a Sharpie. This is the stupidest timeline I've ever been involved in. Unbelievable. Yeah, you could also make the argument that Milanesa is really is German Wiener Schnitzel. I don't disagree with that. Certainly, empanadas are very much at the top of the list. There's just so many great Argentinian foods. I was at the Trump rally when he landed. Our area is 90% Hispanic, but the rally was majority Anglo. Not surprised. Trump pumping his fists. And do we even know for sure that Trump will make remarks? It says here delivers remarks, but you never know when these things get changed or rescheduled. Trump may have changed his mind. Oh, now people are saying Wiener Schnitzel is not even German. It's actually Austrian. This is exactly my point. Who knows? Hey, boss, legal student here. Previous commenter is correct. Cannot be barred from office without a 2/3 conviction. Love the show. My mom doesn't like politics, but loves you. Thank you. Thank you to Chalkway Pitchford's mom. Very much appreciate that. Hello and welcome. All right, Trump is on the move. Is he approaching a mic? Very, very gingerly going down those steps as we've seen him do before. There's quite a commotion. We see the prompters here and the presidential seal in the foreground. So we may be very close, very, very close to hearing from Trump. What's one of the best dishes I've had in Argentina? When I was in Mendoza, Argentina, I went to Francis Mallmann's restaurant, 1884. And I had a beef milanesa. It was one of the best I ever had. One of the absolute best. Highly recommend it. Okay? Certainly no mask from Trump, although many of the people around him are masked at this point in time. Again, I'm anticipating a lie about the completion of the border wall and a lie about who paid for it. A big, big thank you to the additional 21 people who just signed up via Twitch. That puts us at 67. Really appreciate it, guys. And as we wait for Trump here, I'll just thank a few more website subscribers. Corey Champion, Nico Matinen, Terrell Shorter, Laura Moss has signed up, Cindy Pearsall and Robert Velez. Also, big thank you to Sean Troxel and Sergio Aragon. Linda Joy and Jefferson Henderson, thank you very much. That's 10. John Widgent and Sadie Flames puts us at 12. And then Luke Shantz and Nikki Love Salinas is 14, putting us at 81. A small crowd for Donald Trump, as you can see. This is at the border, and I'm expecting very, very weaponized propaganda. And as we saw last week, when we say weaponized disinformation, we saw it weaponized last week. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. Wien means Vienna. So Wiener is of Vienna. Oh, so Wiener Schnitzel is a Vienna Schnitzel. Very important. Do you think the current political climate has poisoned the Trump brand enough that it will make challenging for a Trump 2024 ticket? I do think so. I do think so. Yeah. Apparently masks not even required in the crowd. How do you do an event in the middle of a global 100-year pandemic and you don't even mandate that everybody in the crowd wear a mask? How? I just don't get it. Let's listen to the sounds. Okay, it's pretty bad. Yeah, so we'll keep it muted. You never condemned the Antifa riots in Packman in Portland. Packman, hypocrite much. No. So very much unlike a whole bunch of the hypocrites that are out and around, my position has been exactly the same on violence during political demonstrations. I condemned it when we saw it in a variety of cities around the country. My position has been identical. The difference is we saw way more of it on January 6th, and it was incited by the President of the United States. That's a key difference. The President of the United States incited that riotous mob. So I hope that was worth, $5. David, do you like mate? My Spanish teacher in high school lived in Argentina and would drink it every day in class. No, I've never gotten into mate. Not my thing. They can't even pretend to fill the seats. Why hasn't the Biden-Harris ticket thanked the beautiful bathers for their win? Yes, people who bathe seem to have voted for Biden, I guess is the point. Love matambre, made with love. Viva Argentina. Yeah, matambre is a great dish. It really is. Am I concerned about lack of content once Trump is gone? Not at all. Not at all. I've gotten a few messages about this. So I've gotten messages from people just genuinely concerned and messages from people looking to troll me and tell me that I'm circling the drain, saying as soon as Trump's gone, my show ends. And, every time when Bush left and Obama won, I got emails saying, it's over for you, Packman. It's over. You were in the opposition. Now you're not. The show is over. The show quadrupled in size during the Obama administration or 6X. Then Trump won. And I got messages from people saying, David, now that Hillary lost, so now you're done. And I think the show tripled in size again. And listen, a lot of the topics that do best are not Trump topics. When we look at the insanity disinformation on right-wing media, those clips do as well as Trump-related clips. So no, I'm not worried. The show will evolve. By the way, I don't think Trump is going away on January 20th. But no, I know there's a lot of people waiting for the show to just have nothing to talk about. I predict that we will have plenty to talk about. I appreciate the concern, though, from people who are just genuinely concerned. FBI predicting violence in all 50 states. Yes, we covered that on today's podcast. You can get the podcast anywhere that podcasts exist. What happens to the Lincoln Project after January 20th? I think they go back to just being regular Republicans. That's my instinct. Although many of them claimed they're never going back to the party, I think on ideology, they go back. Is Trump in this tent right now? Is this a sort of green room that they've erected for Trump? Is that what, am I understanding what's going on? Because I looked away for a second and he seemed to disappear. That is what's going on. Okay. And hold on, I'm being sent messages about other things that I should be covering. Let me see what the deal is with that. Okay. What on earth is going on? Yeah, no, we're covering this right now. Yeah, I'm getting messages from people saying cover the FBI thing, but Trump's about to start, and the FBI thing still hasn't even started, actually. Okay, here's Donald Trump. Oh, God, this again. All right, so once again, this is Trump at the border, expecting him to lie about the completion of the wall and expecting him to lie that Mexico paid for it. Those are my only predictions here.
God bless the USA.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Great honor to be here. We worked long and hard. Please sit down. We've worked long and hard to get this done. They said it couldn't be done.
Well, it wasn't.
We got
so
it done. One of the largest infrastructure
I already
projects
called
in the
it.
history of our country. I'm honored to be here in the Rio Grande Valley with the courageous men and women of Customs and Border Patrol. These people are incredible. They're really incredible. I've gotten to know you very well over the last 4 years. Many of you are friends from all of the work we did in designing the wall. We got it exactly as you wanted it. Everything,
you just didn't build it.
Protective plate on top. I say, why did we put that? And they said, we need it for extra protection, climb plate. And we have everything you want. It's steel, it's concrete inside the steel, and then it's rebar, a lot of heavy rebar inside the concrete. And it's as strong as you're going to get and strong as you can have. But we gave you 100% of what you wanted, so now you have no excuses. I didn't want you to have any excuses. And you set records, and we can't let the next administration even think about taking it down, if you can believe that. I don't think that will happen. I think when you see what it does and how it's so important for our country, nobody's going to be touching it. And
Country.
You are very proud of it, and you're proud of the work you did because we really designed it together.
Yeah.
We're joined together to celebrate a great achievement, the extraordinarily successful building of the wall.
They didn't build it.
On the southern border. Before we begin, I'd like to say that free speech is under assault like never before.
Here we go.
The 25th Amendment is of zero risk to me, but will come back to haunt Joe Biden and the Biden administration. As the expression goes, be careful.
It would be Trump's cabinet. It would be Trump's cabinet doing it.
Is a continuation of the greatest and most vicious witch hunt in the history of our country and is causing tremendous anger and division and pain.
Oh, my God.
Far greater than most people will ever understand.
This is wild.
Which is very dangerous for the USA, especially at this very tender time. And now I'd like to briefly address the events of last week.
Oh, here we go.
Millions of our citizens watched on Wednesday as a mob stormed the Capitol and trashed the halls of government.
Halls.
As I have consistently said throughout my administration, we believe in respecting America's history and traditions, not tearing them down.
Confederate history.
We believe in the rule of law, not in violence or rioting. Because of the pandemic, horrible, horrible, invisible enemy, and despite our tremendous success developing a vaccine years before.
He had nothing to do with it.
Evenly remotely possible. Nobody thought it was going to be possible. They said it would take 5 years. Sir, it will take 7 years. All of our scientists were saying.
Sir.
Our advisors.
No,
it will
we knew
take
exactly
7
when
years,
it would be
5
done.
years,
It would be
10
December.
years maybe. Well, we did it just like I said we would, and we had it out years and years before they thought it was possible.
A decade
and
before.
We're now delivering it to states, including your state, where your governor and government are doing a terrific job in getting it administered. Texas and Florida is doing great. Some of them are doing great. Some aren't doing as well, but they have all they can handle, and we get it to them as fast as they need it, and even faster.
Faster than they need it.
But
There you go.
they're calling it a medical miracle, and this has been a difficult year and a very difficult election. The pandemic has made it a very, very difficult year for our country and virtually every country all over the world. Now is the time for our nation to heal, and it's time for peace and for calm.
Well, maybe don't incite a riot.
Respect for law enforcement and the great people within law enforcement, so many are here, is the foundation of the MAGA agenda. And we're a nation of law, and we're a nation of order. That is why we're here today, to talk about what we must do to uphold the rule of law in America.
So he said he was going to talk about what happened. He didn't really talk about what happened.
Law enforcement heroes, which is exactly what you are. Do you feel like a hero? Yeah, I think you do, right? You do, and you are. I want to thank Customs and Border Patrol Commissioner Mark Morgan, who's been incredible. Where's Mark? Mark, stand up, Mark. Great job.
Did he say Gostoms?
Fantastic. Chief Patrol Agent Brian Hastings. Brian, thank you very much. Great job. He's so happy with it. He said, sir, this really works. And most importantly, the brave law enforcement officers who risk their lives every day to protect our families and our country. I also want to thank a tremendous gentleman, a friend of mine, Tom Holman. He's a great American patriot, and he was with us right from the beginning. Right, Tom? You knew exactly. He said, we need a wall. When they were saying, no, we need drones, we need drones. I said, why? So you could watch the people pour into our country illegally? And I want to thank you very much, Tom. What a professional job you've done. All of you people, incredible. Everyone here today is part of an incredible success story. This is a real success story. When I took office, we inherited a broken, dysfunctional, and open border. Everybody was pouring in at will, working alongside the heroes in this great outdoor space, looking at our wall. We reformed our immigration system and achieved the most secure southern border in U.S. history. It is at a level that it's never been before.
Just 8 more days, guys.
Cartels,
just 8 more days.
Coyotes, and the special interests, and we restored the rule of law.
Yep.
For years,
Special interests, lobbyists are just flying through the border.
Secure the border only to get elected, and to do the absolute exact opposite. They even promised a wall, if you remember. About 10 years ago, they promised a wall, but they couldn't get it built. It wasn't easy getting it built. Getting it financed was tough. Getting it built was even tougher. All the different chains of title and all the different things we had to go through. Very, very complex and very difficult, but we got it done. But they had it years ago. You remember that better than anybody, right? And they never got it done. They never, ever completed the task. And then ultimately, the money was sent back to the federal government. Spent, but no wall was built. But unlike those who came before me, I kept my...
Imagine having the gall to have incited a riotous insurrection and then show up and not address the fact that it was exclusively your supporters who did it on your say-so. And talk about this wall that's not, I mean, you can see that the wall, it's obviously not even fully built. It ends, you can see it over his left shoulder. It ends right there.
And I'm looking at the wall and I'm walking and walking. And I'm used to like a development project where you could walk a wall, 10 acres, 5 acres, 2 acres, 1 acre. Then I realized that's a long time. That's a big walk. A lot of the wall you have is incredibly natural. You have the mountains, you have the rivers, you have some very powerful water areas, some areas that are virtually impossible to get by. So we didn't
really powerful water areas, really powerful.
Because it's been so successful that we've added nearly 300 miles, and that's currently under construction. This was our original wish, to get these areas.
Water areas with the power of God, truly.
And now we have it. It's either in construction or pre-construction, an additional 300 miles.
Pre-construction.
In every region that we've built the wall, illegal crossings and drug smuggling have plummeted, absolutely plummeted.
But where have they gone?
In the Rio Grande Valley, crossings have dropped nearly 80%. In Yuma, Arizona, illegal entries have been slashed by 90%. Nationwide, ICE and Border Patrol have seized over 2 million pounds of fentanyl, heroin, meth, and other deadly narcotics, saving thousands and thousands of lives. We've arrested nearly 500,000 illegal aliens with criminal records, some with very serious criminal records of the type you don't want to know about, like murder. We removed nearly 20,000 gang members from the United States, including 4,500 members of MS-13, probably the worst gang of them all. Through the landmark reforms we've put into place, we have ended the immigration chaos and reestablished American sovereignty. Our most important reform was ending catch and release. Not easy to do. You're dealing with Congress. It's very, very difficult, which is the functional equivalent of open borders, but even worse. It's catch and release them. It means release into our country, not into another country. This policy was exploited by vicious criminal organizations who understood the laws better than our people understood them for years, to spread misery and suffering and drugs all across the hemisphere. Now, instead of catch and release, we have detain and remove. It's called detain and remove. Doesn't that sound better?
Trump caught somebody with a marijuana recently and was furious.
Under the old broken system, if you merely requested asylum, you were released into the country. The most ridiculous thing anyone's ever seen. And we were taking in some people that you didn't want to have in your country. We instituted a series of historic policy changes to shut down asylum fraud, and that's what we did. This includes the groundbreaking agreement with Mexico known as the Migrant Protection Protocol.
Will he say Mexico paid for the wall?
MPP. Under this agreement, if an illegal alien requests asylum, they have to wait in Mexico until their case is heard. They used to wait here, and when they were waiting, they would say bye-bye, and they'd disappear somewhere into our country and essentially would never find them again, would never see them again. This one measure alone ended a humanitarian crisis and saved countless lives, and especially, I have to say, lives from crime. I want to thank the great president of Mexico. He is a great gentleman, a friend
Say
of
his
mine,
name.
and President Obrador.
There you go.
He is a man who really knows what's happening, and he loves his country, and he also loves the United States. But I want to thank for his friendship and his professional working relationship. We actually had 27,000 Mexican soldiers guarding our borders over the last 2 years. Nobody thought that was possible. And they made it very, very difficult, and that's why the numbers were able to plunge even during the construction of the wall. And by the way, one of the big elements of the wall that make it so successful is we can have far fewer people working now. They can be working on other things related to crime and drug prevention and a lot of other elements they're working on, because we save massive numbers of people.
Drug prevention.
And included here, we have the most sophisticated camera systems and most sophisticated electronic systems anywhere in the world.
Highly
We
advanced
implemented 3
electricity.
historic agreements with the Northern Triangle. That's Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. Under these critical asylum cooperation agreements, the burden of illegal immigration is now shared all across the region. Now, when an illegal immigrant is arrested at our border, they can be sent to a neighboring country instead of into a U.S. community. Prior to my getting here, countries wouldn't accept them. They would say, no, no, no. I said, well, you got to take them. First month, I'll never forget. These gentlemen right here came to me. They said they won't take them back.
Sir?
They came. They may be murderers. They may be cartel heads. They may be some really vicious people. The countries didn't want them back. And I stopped all payments to those countries. I stopped everything going to those countries. And after it was stopped for about a month, you remember? After it was stopped for about a month, they called. They said, we'd love to have them back. And I never gave them as much money as they were getting, by the way, but they got
What?
some.
What is he talking about?
And they'd say, don't ever even think about landing that plane. And they'd take them by boat, and they'd take them by bus, and they wouldn't let them into their countries. And all of a sudden, they say, welcome back. We love having you. So it was a great thing. And now they do take them back. And the relationship with those countries, the tribe.
I don't know what he's talking
The
about.
relationship is a much better one than it was before. In addition to our agreements with Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, we have systematically reformed the regulatory code to return asylum to its original legal meaning and purpose, not a free ticket for entry. A recent comprehensive report by the Department of Homeland Security and Justice show how effective our reforms have been.
Really
And
passionate
how
delivery.
disastrous their removal would be. It would be a disaster for our country. I know they're thinking about removing them. I hope they don't do that. I hope they don't do that. It'll be an absolute travesty for our country. The report conclusively proves once and for all that aliens released at the border remain at large in the country,
and do not return home. They won't go home. And you rarely find them. It's very tough to find them. So we have aliens released in our country, many of whom are serious criminals, and we've stopped that.
I know I'm resisting, but I see people in the chat. El Salvador, like Albert, and Guatemala. Oh my God. But I'm trying to behave. I see people are picking up on it.
You are apprehended and immediately, safely removed from our country. Without this core principle, there is no border, there is no law, there is no order.
There's no country.
My administration also instituted vital public health measures on the border in response to the China virus. Under Title 42 of the U.S. Code, illegal immigrants are being promptly removed to protect the health of border agents, other migrants and local communities, and the public at large. Removing these protections would invite a public health catastrophe of epic proportions, as you probably know, in Tijuana, various parts of Mexico.
Tijuana, like Aunt Juana. It's Tijuana. That one really gets me. T-I-A. Where are you getting that?
I call it the China plague. A lot of different names, but we always call it.
I actually had a tia Juana. She died a couple years ago. I loved her. It was my great aunt. And she would make a mean gefilte fish. It was my tia Juana.
Of that we're in great shape, but on the other side in Mexico, they're suffering greatly with the virus. It's been incredible what we've achieved. And we didn't do the wall because of COVID. We did the wall because of...
Right. No, we don't think you think that that the virus can't pass the wall. We don't think you're that stupid. Although... You know.
Along came this horrible plague. We inherited a dangerously lawless border. The people that work here are unbelievably brave. I've seen what they have to endure, what they have to go through. They're tough, they're strong, and they're great patriots, great Americans. We fixed it and we secured it. We empowered our wonderful ICE and Border Patrol to fulfill their oaths and sworn officers. They became sworn officers of the law, and they love their job. It's a tough job. It's a nasty job.
Nasty.
They're not paid what they should be paid, to be honest, but we got
Interesting.
job. We got job.
Interesting.
But these are incredibly talented people. They could probably do a lot better in terms of economics than they do here, but they love what they do and they love their country. We also put into place vital measures to protect American workers, keep out terrorists, and stop the abuse of our welfare system, where they'd come up, go in our welfare system, and live for years.
The almost non-existent abuse.
Welfare without ever having a job. We also have, and we had, but we have them all the time. We have terrorists from the Middle East coming into our country through the southern border. That was before what you see right here. Because it was easier to come into our country through the southern border than it was through airports or any other means. So they'd land
Still a question
in South
about
America,
that.
and they'd work their way up and they'd come into our country. And these are not people from...
By the way, a lot of people getting banned in the chat, mostly Twitch. It's interesting.
From some very seriously dangerous places in the Middle East. And the numbers are far greater than anybody would understand, really far greater. Removing any of these measures would hamstring our workers, endanger our country, and cost taxpayers hundreds of billions of dollars a year. No matter our party, we should all agree on the need to protect our workers, our families, and our citizens of all backgrounds, no matter who they are. In particular, if our border security measures are reversed, it will trigger a tidal wave of illegal immigration, a wave like you've never seen before. And I can tell you that already waves are starting to come up from 2,000 and 1,000 and 500 miles away. We see what's coming.
The caravans are back.
They're coming because they think that it's
Just in
gravy
time.
train at the end. It's going to be a gravy train. Change the name from the caravans, which I think we came up with,
Sure.
to the gravy train, because that's what they're looking for the gravy. This will be an unmitigated calamity for national security, public safety, and public health. It would destroy millions and millions of jobs and claim thousands of innocent lives. The policies I put into place are uniformly and strongly supported by the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol.
Hey, and just to be clear, there's people saying you shouldn't ban people for different opinions. Believe me, we're not. The standard at which you get banned on these channels is pretty it's too high, I would even argue.
In front of me. To terminate those policies is knowingly to put America in really serious danger and to override the great career experts that have worked so hard, those from DHS. At this very moment, smugglers and coyotes are preparing to surge the border if our policies are loosened or removed. I mean, they're literally waiting.
Right on the other side.
Big groups of people, some of them very unsavory, I might add. This is an entirely preventable tragedy. It's waiting to happen. The safety of our nation must come before politics. We have many disagreements in the country, but we should all agree the urgent need to secure our borders, protect our homeland, and allow law enforcement to fulfill its mission without political interference. ICE and Border Patrol agents swore a sacred oath to uphold the law, and no political appointee should ever order them to violate that oath. These are real experts. They really get it. And I'll tell you who else gets it. The Hispanic population of our country gets it.
Uh-oh. This is dicey.
Because not only did I win Texas in historic numbers, but I won border towns, which are largely Hispanic.
Oof.
And people were amazed.
That's pretty
to see
narrow. I mean,
And
he lost the Hispanic vote, and most of the border areas are red anyway. So it's a very stupid thing to say.
that nobody's had since Reconstruction. Reconstruction
But
means
dude, you lost Georgia.
Civil War, and largely Hispanic. They understand it better than anybody, and they want law enforcement to help them live safe lives. The laws that Congress passed must be upheld. To the men and women of ICE, Customs, and Border Protection, and all across DHS, law enforcement in general, you have earned the everlasting gratitude of our nation. You have no idea how much our nation loves you and respects you. I don't think you do have an idea, but it's true.
Okay.
I only hope and pray that your voice will be heard, honored, heeded, and respected long into the future.
All right, let's cut to the FBI.
Does this cross the threshold of domestic terrorism because they are political targets?
This is more important.
This was designed to either pull first responders away from the scene as the Capitol was breached, or an effort to maim lawmakers as they evacuated?
So I'll try to address that question for you the best I can. So yes, those two pipe bombs that were found both outside the RNC and the DNC offices near the Capitol grounds. And look, to begin, they were real devices. They had explosive igniters. They had timers. We don't know, obviously, exactly why they did not go off. That's being investigated. They were destroyed, disabled by Capitol Police with the assistance of the ATF. And that is all obviously being vetted and investigated. What was the purpose of those devices being planted? Was it a diversionary type of a tactic used by some of these rioters? Was it something, or did it have some other type of nefarious purpose? So that is what the ATF, the FBI, MPD are looking at as we speak right now, and looking for those persons that planted those devices. In terms of the conduct related to planning those, pipe bombs, the mention of domestic terrorism. I've mentioned this before. I don't like this tyranny of labels saying an act is domestic terrorism. We have plenty of federal resources at our disposal, plenty of federal charges to address all of this conduct, from felony murder related to the possession and use of destructive devices to seditious conspiracy, under the federal code that has significant penalties. And as mentioned, with this strike force that was established to focus strictly on sedition charges, we're looking at and treating this just like a significant international counterterrorism or counterintelligence operation. We're looking at everything: money, travel records, looking at disposition, movement, communication records. So no resource related to the FBI or the U.S. Attorney's Office will be unchecked in terms of trying to determine exactly if there was a command and control, how it operated, and how they executed these activities.
Huh.
The next question is from Pierre Thomas from ABC News. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Are you looking at the possibility that some of these suspects were attempting or planning to take members of Congress hostage?
Important.
So I want to talk about Mike's the prior question first, just because I want to emphasize that we have a $50,000 reward out for the information, any information and identification of the individual or individuals that left the pipe bomb. So
Beautiful.
I just want to make that perfectly clear, and that we're looking at all angles in that. Every tool, every rock is being unturned because we have to bring that person to justice or people to justice. So the can you repeat the question, please?
Hostages.
Okay.
Are you looking at the possibility that some of these suspects who breached the Capitol, who had zip
Yes.
ties and other things, were looking at the possibility of taking members of Congress or others hostage?
So, like I answered the last couple questions before, we are looking at all angles here. We're interviewing everyone, interviewing witnesses, and interviewing subjects as they get arrested around the country and within the district as well, to ascertain the true purpose of some of these individuals in the Capitol that day.
The next question is from Jake Gibson from Fox News. Please
This
go
is
ahead.
great. This is better than the Trump thing.
Thank you, first of all. I have two, actually. Number one, Senator Cassidy has tweeted out a photo that he said was of an individual that authorities wanted to get in contact with in connection possibly with the killing of Capitol Police Officer Sicknick. Number one, can you give us any type of update on that situation? Number two, I know you talked about intelligence leading up to the day before or leading up to the day of the riots, but there are some specific reports out that there was at least one report out of FBI in Norfolk that painted a pretty grim picture. Can you confirm that? And were authorities on the Hill really ready for what was coming at them?
So the investigation into Officer Sicknick's passing is an ongoing investigation. We are looking at everything that we possibly can. It cuts us to a core that one of our law enforcement brethren passed away. So it's an ongoing investigation. There's a lot of tools and interviews that we're still conducting. There's a whole host of video that's out there. We're reviewing all that information. As for the information that's being presented out there right now about Norfolk, that was a thread on a message board that was not attributable, was being attributable to an individual person. Like I said in my statement, we deal in specifics and facts. That information, when my office and Washington Field office received that information, we briefed that within 40 minutes to our law enforcement partners, our federal, state, and law enforcement partners that we had on our command post. It got ingested into the JTTF system and was, again, shared with all our law enforcement partners through that process that we have. And that's the action that we took on that, and that's it.
This concludes our question and answer session, as well as the conference. Thank you for attending today's presentation. You may now disconnect.
All right, so that's that, and it looks like Trump is also done. Let's go, and maybe we could just check out just the last few moments of the Trump event. Let's see where Trump was on this. This is weird. Did that never even start? That's strange. Huh, this is all really odd. So that event ended. And did they already upload it? All right, well, it's gone. So we're not gonna be hearing from Trump. Interesting. Okay, so very, very important stuff. We are going to be following. I've got a lot of homework to do for tomorrow's show. Let me put it that way. And I see that. Oh, I only missed 2 minutes. Good. I see a lot of people asking me my thoughts on the FBI memo about 50 riots in the next week. Talked about that on today's podcast. You can get it now. It just came out 8 minutes ago, so you can get that. Asked about a bunch of the things people are asking about we talked about today on the broadcast show. Okay. So short stream today, have a lot of work to catch up on. Appreciate everybody who signed up. We have gotten over the 2,000 Twitch sub milestone once again. I really do appreciate that on the way out. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Hit the follow button on Twitch. We do want to get to 100,000 Twitch followers. We're almost at 75K already. And I'll be talking to everybody again very, very soon.